With 60,000 new tracks released on Spotify every day, you need an advantage, something that will help your music rise above the noise and get noticed amongst the daily mountain of new music. We are planning a weekend that will help you do just that, a weekend that will change your music career. And on today's episode, we're going to give you a preview of that weekend. So let's get to it.
You're listening
to the CD Baby
CD Baby
CD Baby
DIY
Musician
Podcast.
And welcome to episode number 307 of the DIY Musician Podcast, where on today's episode, we're going to give you a preview of the 2022 DIY Musician Conference happening in Austin, Texas, August 26th through 28th. It's going to be amazing. My name is Kevin Bruner. Joining me is Chris Robley and Christina Cano. Christina, welcome.
Hi. It's been a long time.
I know. And we haven't had you in the mix much because you have been so busy planning this conference.
Sure have.
And it's quite a feat to put together a giant weekend event with so many details to work out.
You know what?
It's a lot of
I'm
work.
thinking about it like a big 3-day party. So it's just like I'm putting all my party planning skills to
a party mixed with like a university, though.
Yeah, it's like everything you could possibly want one weekend.
Yes, and we're going to dive into all of that today. And the DIY Musician Conference, we've said it many times on this podcast, it's one of the highlights of the year for us, bringing all these artists together that are all in on their music career, that really want to see things happen and build their music and build audiences and just learn from each other. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to announce some keynotes and things that we haven't even announced yet. You're going to hear it first here on the podcast. And even if you don't plan on going to the conference, we think you'll get something out of this episode. Plus, we've got lots of good stuff coming up later on the show. But first, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do so. If you're watching on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button. And we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, the podcast is there. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. So we've got the conference coming up later in the summer, but do either of you have any big musical plans this summer?
I just had an amazing week in the woods, tenting by a lake at a music camp that had no internet, no screen time, no plugged in instruments, really. It was all just acoustic music and voices. It was amazing.
That sounds so good.
And I guess we could probably talk for an hour about the benefits of like not having internet and stuff. But like what it reminds me of for this episode is just how amazing it is to be with, I think there was probably about 200 of us just together, making music together. So it got me re-energized for our conference too, because that's my favorite thing about it, is just having more than 1,000 independent artists just all hanging out.
Yeah.
Seriously. Well, I don't have anything recording right now because my brain is really excited about the conference. I feel like after that, I'll definitely be in a vibe. But I did just release a little piece of music that landed itself on a Planned Parenthood podcast. So I'm excited about that.
That is rad. I saw that came out. I need to listen to it. I've been a bad social media follower.
You've been a bad friend.
Oh, no. I never judge anybody's social media input or output. So
I was in the woods. I couldn't hear it.
No, I'm glad.
That's a topic for another episode. It drives me crazy when people say, like, expect that you are maintaining or posting certain things at certain intervals. It's like, hey, I can take a break. It's okay.
Anytime. And that's something you can learn about at the DIY Musician Conference.
Yeah. I've got a little mini tour coming up that is shaping up for a whole week in July. And so that's kind of, the conference is such a big event that we put on that it just kind of, the closer it gets, it just takes over our lives. So it's really hard to comprehend that I have to have about 25, 30 songs ready to go and play a whole bunch of shows. But I'll start working on that this weekend. I got to start practicing.
Are you playing at any NASCAR speedways for this tour?
We are not, but we are playing for one of the race teams in Charlotte. Yes, our drummer works in NASCAR, so we have that NASCAR connection. So before we get any further, we're just going to say it right out that the DIY Musician Conference is happening August 26th through 28th. You should be there. Head on over to DIYmusiciancon.com to get your tickets. You can attend in person in Austin, or that same ticket gives you access to all the content, no matter where you are in the world. And also going to be special stuff online for people who can't be in Austin that makes it worth your while. And the sessions are coming together. We're pretty much booked up, and we're going to preview all of that for you today. We're going to talk about the conference. We've got our scam segment. It's back, Chris. We last episode we did a call out, and we got another email somebody sent to us, so we're going to read that and laugh and enjoy. And then we've got some great listener calls and emails later up in the show. So stick around for all of that. It's going to be good. So to start us off, Chris, why don't you talk about how we're going to approach talking about a conference? Like why spend an episode talking about a conference? What are we going to do?
Yeah. So I think there's a few different strands of conversation we wanted to have here, and we can intertwine them. But one is just like the nuts and bolts of what's going to happen at the conference, what you should expect to see and do and take advantage of when you're there. The other is a bit more philosophical and like the attitudes or the things you need to bring in order to get the most out of it. Like experientially, just how to approach it so that you leave a better musician and a better marketer and, all the things you want to get out of it. So we kind of broke it into a bit of the logistics, but in discussing those, we'll also talk about just how to get the most out of those things as well.
Yeah. And you know what? One thing we forgot to put in our notes was we've all talked about how just from the beginning, our conference has just felt so warm, accepting, friendly, energizing. I've been to a lot of conferences. We've all been to a lot of conferences, and I've been to some where it seemed like everyone was kind of walking around kind of snooty with an attitude. That might have been in LA, where it kind of felt like everyone's
there. Yeah.
What's that?
Thanks for that shade. But yeah.
But everyone was kind of walking around like, I'm cool, I'm better than you. There was just that definite vibe. And when we started this conference, I didn't know what to expect. And it's just the most welcoming environment of like people just saying, hey, I'm an artist. Who are you? Let's go get lunch. Let's hang out. Let's talk about music and what we're doing and the success we're having, the struggles we have. It's just a very just welcoming environment. It's just something that you just have to experience to be able to understand.
Yeah, it's like a warm hug, and I don't say that to sell it. I say it to as my own lived experience from it. The first time I went, I couldn't believe how welcoming everybody was, because like LA and other cities I've been in, the music communities can often feel like cutthroat. I lived in Portland, Oregon, in the music community there, and everybody was really helpful and definitely wanted to help each other out. But there's still like an element of competition no matter where you go. So being in a conference like this where everybody is sort of coming in from their own respective communities, and they have one goal, which is to learn and expand their craft. So they're all just sort of like really excited about being there and really excited to learn from one another in a way that I just don't experience in a lot of other music communities, especially like touring. Even like you meet other bands, but there's still sort of this like, well, where are you on your spectrum? As we're at our conference, everyone's like, we're here to learn together,
I find that one of the most moving things about the conference is that the sort of hierarchy breaks down. It's almost kind of irrelevant in a way, because there are like literally people who've won Grammys there and someone who's never even recorded their first song, and they're there in a way as equals. Like there isn't this like one-upsmanship or anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's great for a lot of reasons. It puts everyone in a supportive environment, but it also creates a thing where people who are a little bit antisocial can get over that easier than they would otherwise. If they felt like they were going to like a networking event and then they're like, I'm very introverted, I don't like people. You could still not like people, but like this will be the ideal place for you to still go and have a positive learning experience.
I love that too. Like you said, you did mention there are artists that I've met at the DIY Musician Conference that have maybe just even started developing the idea that they are an artist. They just discovered, you know what, there's something brewing in there. I just need to know how to let it out. To people that have been touring for 30 years that have feel like, you know, they've done everything they can, but they know that there's more to learn. So I feel that the range, not just of our conference, but of the community, of the people that are coming, is so broad that that's what creates that welcome environment where you really are like, you can stop in the hallway, say, hey, tell me your name, and have a conversation and learn something new. And that happens to me every time I'm there, whether I'm planning or attending. I learn something new from a stranger.
Yeah. And that's kind of a good lead into this next little segment I had, like who should attend. And I think based on what you just said, Christina, those who have been in the music business for a while, if you've learned one thing, is that it's constantly evolving, especially now more than ever. I mean, there was many years of like this major label system control, but with the rise of the independent market, it's like you can make things happen as long as you know what's working, the new tools that are relevant, the new platforms that are relevant, things come and go, features come and go, and being able to understand and take advantage of those things is really important. So it's that idea that you never stop learning. So if no matter how successful you are, there's always more to learn in this industry that's constantly evolving. And as far as who should attend, we get solo artists, we get bands, groups, we get managers, we get a lot of managers who come wanting to up their skills because they work with independent artists, or they have to get creative and really strategic with limited budgets and things like that. We get publicists, we even get bookers, and we get people that attend because there's so many independent artists there, and we have lots of showcase opportunities, and people that are looking to, hey, I've got a new management company, or I'm booking independent artists. This is a place where I could connect with more artists. Really, any industry person that is working with indie artists at all levels will get an enormous amount out of this weekend. The one thing I mentioned, bands and groups, and the one thing I thought was interesting that I was thinking about with that, it's like we typically get like the one person or the two people from the band that are all in, like on the marketing and promotion side. And it's like, this is a great opportunity to get your whole band out there so they can be bought in on the strategic vision and learn. I'm that guy in the band.
Did you hear that, drummer? Did you hear that?
Well, especially, we'll get into some of the keynotes, but one of the keynotes, it's like it comes to like performance and things like that, or even just putting yourselves out there. There's always a few people in your group that are kind of like hesitant, lagging behind, skeptical. This is a great weekend to bring them all out for you to have a shared experience and for them to get excited and maybe have some learnings that maybe is the person in the band that's always being the promoter that gets everyone on board together. So that's another way to look at this weekend. But
you don't have to be the lead singer or the singer-songwriter to enjoy this. There are opportunities for that recluse bass player or the drummer who's just like, I'm just the side guy. Like, there's so many sessions even dedicated to that, to being a performing musician that doesn't necessarily want the spotlight, but just wants to keep their career going or wants to know where to pivot. So there's a huge range.
Yeah. And it's about, to me, like with that person, it's like, I'm just a side guy. It's like, well, I need you to be bought in so you don't look at me like a crazy person when I'm saying, hey, let's do all these marketing and promotion things. I want you to understand the bigger vision and give a good effort and understand we're trying to build something. So I think it's important to highlight again that this is a hybrid event. We would love for you to be in Austin and be there in person. You're going to want to stay at the hotel. It's at the Hilton right downtown next to the convention center, right next to 6th Street in Austin. It's an amazing event in person, but if you can't make it, you can stream from anywhere in the world. We've got lots of content that's going to be available online, and also some networking stuff that will happen online for those folks as well. So one ticket gives you both options. So just want to make that 100% clear. Anything else to say about the fact that it's a hybrid event?
I'll just reiterate that we will do our best to facilitate that sense of excitement and community virtually, but there are some things, to be honest, you really can only experience there. So if you can get there, stay at the hotel, because that's really the heart of everything. And you don't want to waste time in an Uber or whatever else. Just you want to make the most of your time there. So that'd be my encouragement.
Yeah.
I think along those lines, we want to make sure that anyone is capable of coming, that it's accessible. So that's why we're creating this virtual option. Absolutely. But there is something really special about being in person, meeting people that, we've missed. And it all feels like we're starting to get back to a time where we'd like to have that in person again, that experience of networking. So it's worth being there. And also, you're going to miss all the fun shows if you don't.
Right. Well, speaking of, if you do go in person, I was just going to do like a little quick list of what to bring. Don't forget your instruments, because
that's true.
There are open mics. You throw your name in the hat. If you get called, you want to be prepared. So
there's a jam room.
Bring it for that. And
water bottle,
comfy
ibuprofen.
shoes. It's Austin in August, so have like a hot weather outfit, but realize you'll also be in an air-conditioned hotel.
You'll be freezing inside.
Have like a jacket, but besides that, it's an action-packed day, so I don't think you need to be bringing a ton.
Notebook.
That. Yeah, notebook or laptop or something to take notes.
Well, something you said earlier, Christina, you mentioned it's like you were planning a party.
Yeah.
The perfect party. I really can't express enough how much it feels like that when you're there and you stay at the hotel. The hotel lobby is massive. There's a Starbucks in it. There's all these tables. There's a bar. There's a restaurant. There's a separate taco restaurant. It's all right there. And even after all the planned event stuff that we're highlighting today, it's just hundreds of artists everywhere with instruments out, connecting, staying up super late, having the time of their lives. And it's worth every penny to be there. And compared to other conferences, our conference is so cheap and affordable. Tickets are only $149 right now. They go up July 15th. So hopefully by the time you hear this, you still have time to go get that $149 ticket. But it's worth every penny because it's such an experiential weekend that really will just really set the stage for the remainder of the year and really launch the excitement for driving your music forward that I think a lot of us have been missing the last couple of years.
And I do think that that's an affordable price. I just spent way more than that for one solo ticket to see St. Vincent in September. So I think that if you can just save your Postmates meals for like 2 Postmates meals, you can afford our conference and it'll be totally worth it.
Yeah. So Chris, the next section you had here was about keeping an open mind when you attend a conference.
Yeah, I think if you arrive with an open mind, you're going to have an amazing experience. You'll be open to learning things that you would otherwise be like, TikTok's not my thing. I make folk music, whatever. Well, when you're at the conference, you might learn that TikTok has been the key to the success of an act that makes music from hundreds of years ago. Like, it could be the very thing that unlocks your success. Maybe you find out you're sick of making music on your computer and you really just want to play the fiddle. Whatever it is, this is an environment to challenge your assumptions. And I think one of those assumptions for a lot of musicians might be kind of what we mentioned earlier is like, oh, I make music in my basement. I don't like clicky networking things. And hopefully you get there and you realize this is not that. This is a very thing that'll energize you. So
yeah. You also mentioned arriving with a goal and a to-do list.
Yeah, there's so much going on at the conference and so many choices. The keynotes, which we'll talk about later, are arranged so they're the only thing happening at that moment. But in any other time, you've got lots of choices. So if you have a goal ahead of time, it'll just give some shape to what you attend, what you do. Your goals can change when you're there. You don't have to be like super strict about it, but I just think it helps to show up focused. You can avoid some of that feeling of FOMO or like, oh, I wonder what's happening in that other session. Well, who gives a damn? Because you said you were here for this specific goal. This is the session that addresses that. So, yeah.
Also, for those that do buy a ticket, whether you're attending virtually or not, we will be recording some of these sessions. So this is only if you get a ticket, but if you do go see a keynote or you go see a speaker and you want to catch a session that you may have missed, we might have that opportunity for you. So that's good.
Yeah, we're recording everything. and it will be available for those who have tickets. So yeah, if you miss a session, you can go back to your room later in the evening and stream the one you missed in most cases. So that's a cool feature as well. Well, let's jump into some of the keynotes. This is something we haven't announced yet. By the time this podcast comes out, I don't think we will have officially announced all of these. So you're going to hear it first on the podcast. Really excited about these. I think we always try to find keynotes that have a good balance of helpful advice, but also I think this is the area where I think more inspirational type content is at play at times. So I'm pretty excited about what we have. Who's got the list in front of them?
I do.
Perfect.
Here's the list, and then we'll go into them in a little more depth. We've got Kara Diaguardi and Ross Golan doing a songwriter Shark Tank. Tom Jackson and Amy Wolter doing a live band makeover. Austin Kleon doing an incredible motivational speech about creativity and pursuing and pushing forward. And then we've got a great band, Enrique Chi and Making Movies, talking about art and activism and empowerment through music. So we're very excited about all four of those.
Yeah, I love these because the individual sessions, of which there will be dozens and dozens, have a very workshop, tactical, strategic, nitty gritty type stuff. Here's how you use TikTok. Here's how you make a music video. They're very focused on specific questions. I think the questions these four keynotes answer are more universal. It's how do I make music that has an emotional connection? How do I stay fulfilled as an artist and keep changing and stay productive? How to be a more charismatic performer? Just sort of those large questions. So yeah, I'm excited about these.
Yeah. And, we can take them one by one real quick. The Kara Diaguardi and Ross Golan, you may not know their names. Ross has a very popular podcast called And the Writer Is. So you may know him from that. I've talked to some folks that were like, oh yeah, I absolutely know who that is. I love that podcast. Both Kara and Ross have enormous amounts of songwriting credits, songs that you have most likely heard by major pop artists, including
Justin Bieber, Maroon 5,
Bieber, yeah,
Christina Aguilera.
Yes,
Meatloaf.
Pitbull.
I was excited to see Meatloaf on the list.
Yeah, the writing credits for both of them are insane. And Kara was also a judge on American Idol for a couple seasons. That session, what I love about that session is one, artists are willing to put themselves out there like, here I am, everybody in this room who is also an artist is going to listen to my song, and these two professionals are going to critique it live in front of everybody.
Which can be scary, but it's also really
scary.
Rewarding because, you get some really good feedback.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've done this similarly with Bob Boilen from NPR, and the cool thing is one, as terrifying as it sounds, the music and the quality has always been way above my expectation. Not that I have low expectation, but to see a room of people being like blown away. And then we've had some success stories. Some of the biggest conference success stories have come from this session where the panelists that were doing the critiquing were like, dang, this is amazing. We need to talk after this session. And so that's what's been so amazing by that, just to hear the different styles that come out, the different approaches, and to hear that honest critique. And they do it in a thoughtful way. They're not there to just rip people apart. So that to me is always a big highlight.
If someone's listening and they're like, that sounds awesome, I want to do that, how do they get their music in front of these people?
So you're going to bring a USB flash drive with your song on it and hopefully nothing else on that flash drive. And hopefully it's something that you don't mind, that it's somewhat disposable, because we will put it in a box full of other flash drives. So unless you easily recognize it has your name on it, then, you may not get it back. But it is, put your name on it. Yep. Put it in a it's sort of lottery style that they're going to pull these out and plug them in and hear the songs.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's always a highlight. The other one that's Keynote, Tom Jackson and Amy Wolter, that live band makeover. We'll touch on that in a second. Austin Cleon, he's written a lot of books on creativity. And what really interested me in this session, first off, it was recommended by Gina Chavez, who was one of our keynotes in 2019 and has been a friend of CD Baby and the podcast for many years. She recommended we get Austin and just diving into what he's about. And I just love the topic of creativity because I think we don't talk about it as much as we should as artists.
Agreed.
And we spend so much time talking about marketing and how to get gigs and promotion and the business side of things. And I think we often neglect that creativity and cultivating creativity. And the way he talks about it and writes about it, I think is just so great. And to me, this is the kind of inspiration that the keynotes, I think, really provide, like really excite you about making music. Because if we're not excited about making music and what we offer as artists and creative people, then, the rest is just kind of, who cares? We gotta be excited about our craft and growing our craft.
Absolutely. I was gonna say real quick before we talk about the live band makeover is that when I said stay open and flexible, in years past, like we had Mary Gaucher do a keynote, and that completely changed her speech. Totally changed what I wanted to do for the rest of my conference when I had rare moments of free time. I had planned to go to the marketing things, and I was like, nope, I need to go to the songwriting, lyric, the more creative stuff, because it was so moving. So I would say be open to where these keynotes lead you in terms of your curiosity and inspiration.
Yeah. And
after we talk about this, I'm curious what each of your goals are with this as attendees.
Well, we've got our top 5 picks each coming up later in the episode. So that'll be interesting to see why you chose the ones you did. All right, let's talk about the live band makeover, because if you haven't experienced this yet, you may be wondering, what on earth is this? And in short, there's a band that plays, and they play like, they perform, and they do their thing, and everybody thinks, oh, that wasn't bad. What could they do with this band to make
or
it better?
Even, oh, that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That was, there was one year I was like, oh, dang, man, that was pretty good. But they will completely transform this person's performance or this band's performance of a song or two. Usually they try to get to 2 different types of songs, and it is so much fun to watch. I have had the pleasure of working with Tom Jackson way back in the day, back in my label days. At the same time, we were getting signed, our friend's band was getting signed, and they also worked with Tom. So I got to see their performance transform. And as we emerge from a pandemic where most of us weren't playing live or touring, I think I'm sure we all got very rusty with performance. I mean, we talked about that on previous episodes of the podcast, like just trying to figure out how to plug your gear back in, much less do a performance. But then what he talks about can also be, it's not just a live venue application. So many artists now are doing live streaming performances that so much of what Tom talks about and Amy will talk about will translate to live streaming and just putting together an interesting show no matter where it is. And it makes such a big difference. If you're playing live and you're like, I don't need anybody to tell me what to do, it's like you are missing out on driving so many people to your merch table, to your website to buy stuff, to sign up on your email list. It is so powerful when you have a great show.
And the most important thing of all, creating a moment that all of your audience will take home with them and remember and care about later, so that they come back and they tell people.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend just the other day who had been to a concert that was just mind-blowing, and they were describing it as their cheeks hurt because they were smiling so much, and it was just amazing, and they were just talking about it nonstop. And I'm like, that's the kind of show artists want. Most artists get up on stage, go through the motions, say, I'm a professional. It just happens spontaneously, and realizing that you're boring most of the people that are watching.
Well, and there's nothing like watching somebody who's just like emotionally checked out on stage, who's maybe been doing the same set the same way 50 times now. And by the time they get on stage, they don't have the fire anymore. Nothing is new. They're just not representing themselves the right way. Like, what's the point of touring or of even playing shows if you're just going to produce the same thing over and over again? It's almost like when you record a tape over and over again, it like gets more worn out, so it feels like that can happen with performance. So having an opportunity to have somebody look at you objectively and say, you know what if we just changed a few little things here or there? I think that creates that fire, get you to be the freaking rock star that you are.
Yeah, and Tom and Amy, they have no allegiance to your music. First of all, like, they don't care that it was recorded a certain way or that verse needs to come before the chorus, because those rules might only be your rules and they might be holding you back. So they completely, if they need to, dissect the structure of the song, where people are standing, what you're used to and comfortable with as a performer. Then they build it all back in a totally new way that literally every time I've seen it, the final performance of the song after that session is over is like, whoa, that is so much better.
A part of me wants to do it. Like, a part of me wants to be the band that does it. I've thought about it. I've been like, maybe I should get my band out here. But then the other part of me is like, oh my gosh, somebody not tearing apart. Because in no way does it feel malicious. It's never malicious. No. It's very just like, I come from theater, and in theater you rehearse. And when you rehearse in front of other people, the director will stop and give you notes, and you have to learn to not take it personally. You just say, thank you for that note, adjust and move on and adapt it. And so that's sort of what you're doing here. I think that there's something terrifying about it, because as a culture, I think in general, we're really bad at taking criticism right now, but also because it means
how dare you?
I know, right? Let me criticize everybody in one sentence. But also it means that you have to change something, or if you want, there's something to change, and that can be scary for people to think. I remember taking voice lessons once and being like, I don't need to take voice lessons. Like, I know how to use my voice. I want it to sound like me. But ultimately you learn something, right? So it's a great experience to watch and to be a part of.
This is the one session that if you were in a band, that you want all your band members there, because there's always this tension about live shows. And it's interesting to me when you think about the history of how music in the industry and where we're at now. The industry used to start with live performance, and then, because it was expensive and you needed a label, then you recorded and sort of saw the vision in the recorded state. We now have that all upside down, where most artists start recording and maybe don't even start playing live. And we've locked into our brains that playing live is just regurgitating what we did for a recording, but it's a different experience and there are no rules to the songs. And so you see that play out live, and how much more effective your live show could be if you start looking at live performance as its own craft. And that's what that session is all about. And Christina, you mentioned you thought it'd be fun to be the band. If you want to be the band, we are looking for the band to be on stage to do the live makeover. So get your tickets, and you'll be getting info about submitting to be the band for the live band makeover.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the parameters, though. We are looking for a 5-piece band. And I did speak to Tom recently last week, and he said the one request is that they rock. And I don't think he means genre-wise. It doesn't matter what the genre is. I think he means you have to be a band that frickin' brings it. Because it's really easy to pick apart some low energy, whatever. Even if your genre is low energy, doesn't mean you have to perform low energy. It means frickin' bring it, so that then the bar just gets raised that much higher. So we will be sending out some information on how you can apply.
My last comment about this is, I have known many musicians, and long ago I was one of them, who would have been like, this is all stupid manipulation. This is fake. I just show up. I'm me on stage. And that, to rehearse doing something with a sense of intention, would feel inauthentic. But you see that the opposite is true. When you are able to do a performance the way Tom leads you to do, you're actually more free. And you're taking that element of chance out of your gigs. It's like, is this going to be a good gig tonight or not? It's like, no, if you drill this stuff into your performance, not that you can't have bad gigs, but most of them will be what you expect them to be at that point.
Yeah, my hot take on that is that there are a lot of people that ask for advice and then get upset when you give it to them. That's what I was saying about criticism. Like a lot of people can't take it, right? Like there's a lot of people that do that. But if you're coming to a conference like this, you're coming here to level up, right? No matter where you are in the game, you're here to level up. So opening yourself up to the opportunity to level up and accept that somebody that knows what they're doing. I mean, the guy like trained Taylor Swift, you know, he knows what he's doing. So open yourself up to that and you'll learn so much.
Yeah. Tom did work with Taylor Swift for many years on many tours, and
she did okay.
Yeah, she did okay. And one last comment on that. It's not, even though he's looking for a rock band, he all his advice is multi-genre. He's worked with artists in all genres. It's just for a conference with the short amount of time that we have, it's a bit of a magic trick as well to be able to see the transformation happen quickly. So you need moving parts and things that can demonstrate concepts easily. And I remember one of the last times we did it, the guitar player was kind of shy. And Tom was like pushing him, no, go further out on the front of the stage.
Oh yeah, that was
your
great,
guitar
yeah.
solo. And he's like, no. And the guy's playing, he's like, but I got my pedals. He's like, your audience doesn't care about you standing behind your pedal board. Go over there and rock.
He was like literally using his whole body to shove the guy up to the front of the stage.
He also made the guy do a solo, I think. And like the guy
on
was
the
like,
spot, yes.
I don't know. And then as soon as he like pushed him to that level, the guy did do a solo and it ripped. It was great.
Yeah.
So you just have to push yourself.
And
past the
so
point
you'll
of
see that
comfort.
you'll see all that on stage, and it's amazing. Let's move on. We've already talked about the hotel situation and being full of just all these amazing artists. If you stay at the hotel and you stay 2 nights or more, we will give you your conference ticket for free. And all that information is available on DIYmusiciancon.com. So yeah, just check that out. It's right in the heart of Austin. 6th Street's just 2 blocks away, which is just venue after venue after venue in Austin. And yeah, you're just right in the hub of all the fun. So it's worth staying at the hotel. Let's talk about some of the workshops, because there are an enormous amount of workshops. That's sort of the meat and bones of the conference. This is where there's more opportunities to choose your own adventure and decide, like Chris, you were saying, understanding what might be important for you or the things that you want to tackle that will help your career more immediately. And
I bet we have workshops on probably every topic imaginable. Anything you can think of that you want to know about, there's some way to learn that at this conference. But do we want to go through our personal
let's do our picks, because I'm curious to see why you picked some, and I picked last, so I'm like, I can't pick the same things they picked, even though some of the stuff you guys picked is amazing. So, but we've got each of our top 5 picks.
Yeah, should I go first?
Sure.
All right, so my top 5 things I'm looking forward to is Alberto Chapa, I think you say his name, is doing a live looping workshop. And so I'm interested in this because I am occasionally a solo performer and I do looping, but I either feel like I sprinkle it in too infrequently, or I am like indentured to it, and I want to find that good medium. So that's one thing. Similarly, Henry Rowland is doing a live stream shop where you're going to kind of figure out how to get the tech and the mic and whatever your live stream setup is, how to dial it all in so that every time you go live, you don't have to worry about that. You can just think about your performance and just all that other stuff is set. So I'm looking forward to that one. Rick Barker is giving a talk about how to market like a major on an indie budget. And if you've gone to the conference before, Rick will be a familiar face and name. He's been, I think, 3 or 4 times. And every time he does something different, which is cool. And all of his workshops have been very actionable in the way where, like, by the end, you've got your phone out and you've taken 5 or 6 steps along with him as he leads you through doing something very specific. So I'm excited for that one. Our friends at Indiepreneur are leading a conversation about how one of their own team members, this guy, Ed Isola, took his band, the 502s, from like no fan base, no recorded music at all about 4 years ago to getting millions and millions of streams a month on Spotify. They're going to sort of lead you through the whole journey of their release process, what they did with ads, and then what they did on Spotify through TikTok. And then last, speaking of TikTok, I am having a conversation with Jeremy Gordon Carter, who is one of 4 singers in the group Windborn Singers, who I mentioned earlier in this discussion. And they fascinate me because they've had this fairly sizable TikTok success by singing like labor songs from 100 years ago and then like Corsican vocal music from hundreds of years ago. And they're exactly the type of act you would think would go nowhere on TikTok if you believe all this stuff. Oh, TikTok's just for kids and dancing and pop music. That is not true. And so this conversation is going to be all about that and how they used it to find their niche audience.
Yeah, all those are great. All those are going to be great. The Henry Rollin one, I think we have him doing 2 sessions. And I think if you were an artist that have been trying to figure out, okay, I need to have live streaming as a part of the ongoing plan for my music. I know a lot of people dove in during the pandemic. Some people thought, I'm never doing this again. I hate live streaming. Some people are like, this is everything for me. But I know there's a lot of artists that are still trying to figure it out. Henry has become a master of it. But what I love about it is it's not just the fact that he's going to talk about it, but he's going to have his gear there. And for me, a lot of the question has always been, how do you make it sound good in a computer? And he's always done an amazing job with this. And so having him there with all his gear and you being able to get up there and look at it and ask how each piece of gear gets into the computer and sounds great, how he's mixing it, how he's going live and keeping it fun. It's going to be a good one. And he's doing 2 sessions. I forget what they're called, but they're both related to live streaming. One is more about his setup, and I think one is more about the actual live stream.
The other, you mentioned Alberto Chapa doing the live looping. He's also doing another session where he's showing sort of a live stage setup for a solo artist, multiple instruments, which I'm really excited about as like somebody that plays with other musicians. If you want to play solo, sometimes you don't want to just like come out with the acoustic guitar and do the stripped down set. You want to like really provide a full sound. So I'm excited to see how he creates this live solo artist full capacity set.
I'm already getting FOMO. I need to take my advice and set a goal for this because
I know
I hadn't even planned on that one, and now it sounds amazing.
Same. And so, yeah, I think speaking on the things that are my goals for this conference are definitely the sort of holistic side of it. I've been feeling like as an artist, you know, it's a lot to push through the last 2 years, the sort of processing everything that just happened on a global level, on a personal level and everything. And so as an artist that used to play all the time, like, how do I get my freaking butt back on stage? So one of the ones I'm really excited about is Suzanne Polinsky, goes by Suze the Rockstar Advocate, is doing one called Good Grief, Overcoming Loss and Embracing Change as a Post-Pandemic Artist. That one sounds so interesting to me, sort of like letting go of grief and all of the things from the last few years and figuring out how to navigate forward. I think that's going to be a really exciting session. Also, Judy Stakey is coming back with It All Starts With a Song. This is sort of a songwriting workshop. So it's really, really fun. Also watching people working through concepts on stage. Really cool piece. Ari Herstand is going to be moderating a panel on touring in alternative venue spaces, which is my number one favorite subject of all time. How can you turn a space that isn't necessarily a music venue into a music venue for your set, whether it's touring or whether it's wanting to do a residency in a theater or whatever? It's a lot. There's so many opportunities out there to create venues, especially when venues are becoming more scarce. So I'm very excited about that panel. Damon Grant is also coming back. Damon is a touring drummer. This is what I was talking about earlier, where this isn't just for the frontmen or women or for anybody. This is for all artists. So if you are a drummer or a keyboard player or anyone who's ever thought I'm just the sideman, this session is for you. It's about getting gigs, being a support, and how to keep going. Kareem Guy is going to be doing Promote Your Music the FAST way. Kareem is also one of those people that keys to the game is what they go by, knows how to push forward with music in a very inspirational way. I've been following them on Instagram. I think, Kevin, you first introduced them to me. Love everything they're doing. Can't wait to see what they bring to the table. So good stuff.
Met Kareem at South by Southwest, and I saw him walking around because he had this backpack that you can get him on Amazon. I thought it was amazing. It had an LED reader board on the back of his backpack, and it wasn't like this giant backpack. It was a normal. It actually looked very similar to my backpack, only it had an LED reader board on the back. And he had like a QR code and was had a message about learning to promote your music. And I saw him multiple places around. And then I finally ended up at a show, and he was standing next to me. And we ended up talking. And I'm like, this guy's a really cool guy. And I looked him up online. We connected. I'm like, you need to be at our conference. And so it's going to be a great session, and super great guy, and looking forward to that one as well. Anything else on your picks?
I mean, I've been really excited and lucky this year to get to pick a lot of these artists and to find a lot of these speakers. And I feel like every single speaker that's coming, it's because I, as an artist, want to hear what they have to say. So I'm really excited about the majority of I mean, there's a bunch more people I could list off right now, but we all said we would pick 5 to talk about. There are so many incredible, and like Chris said, it sort of ranges as I tried to go as broad as we, not broad, but paint as much of a picture as we could about the artistic experience. So hopefully, if there's a subject that you're thinking, I need to know more about PR, or I need to know more about publishing or sync licensing, we're covering it.
Yeah,
we got you.
It's in there. Yeah, there's far more topics than what we're hitting on here. I mean, there's pretty much everything, and a lot of great companies are going to be there, and so forth. So yeah, we're just scratching the surface to give you a little bit of a taste. You'll want to go to DIYmusiciancon.com and to check out all the details. We'll have the schedule posted there very soon. We're finalizing all the last details, and then it'll be posted. I've got my picks. We already talked about Tom Jackson's live band makeover. That's one of my picks. I love that session, and it's one of those areas where I wish more artists would just, especially people in bands, could get their whole band on board, because it's just transforming for your career. We also talked about Austin Kleon's keynote already. I just love the topics of creativity, because creativity is mysterious. It's not something that you can just easily make a process that turns out the same old hits over and over again. Yes, there's some things you can do, but just the idea of like wrestling with the creative process and what it means to be creative, I just like those topics a lot. One of the sessions that we haven't talked about yet that I'm interested in is the two of you are doing a 50 promo ideas in 50 minutes session. And
that's right.
And one, I'm always curious, can they actually get 50 out in 50 minutes? I remember, Chris, you did something years ago, and I know near the end of the session, it was getting down to the wire. Like, we just got 10 seconds to say.
Speed up.
Honestly, between Chris and I, we can really go on rants and tangents. So I'm curious if we can get through 50. We'll see.
What you need
1 minute per on.
A minute timer on stage with you, and just
with
like,
a buzzer.
With a buzzer.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we should. Let's do that.
You should.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Then Simon Tam, he's always an excellent speaker. He's been on the podcast a couple times. He's puts together excellent presentations. He's going to be doing one about touring in a post-pandemic world. We've had him on the podcast, I believe, twice. One of them I know was more about niche audiences. He's very good and a thoughtful speaker on that topic. He's done some amazing things with his band as it relates to niche audiences. And so I'm always curious in his perspective. And I think him talking about touring in a post-pandemic world is going to go hand in hand and tie well with what, Christina, you mentioned, Ari's session. We also have a couple other sessions about booking and touring that I think, as artists, that you start getting back out on the road, it's going to be very helpful. And then I've got Justin J. Rhodes. I don't know Justin, but this session sounded very interesting to me. These beats ain't free, from DIY to Dre. And I believe this is about how he was making beats and got some amazing opportunities. But I know that there's so many artists out there now that are making beats, making music tracks, trying to get other artists to use, and wondering how to navigate those waters, I think this session is going to be incredibly helpful for you and really illuminate the possibilities and how to proceed and how those things get found in the world of hip hop and pop, because that's where a lot of it's getting used.
I just had one quick thing as people are listening to all of our top picks and we're saying that there's so much more to do. Someone might be feeling the FOMO I mentioned. If you are going with a band or with some friends, you can divide and conquer. You could say, hey, there's 3 or 4 of us. We're each going to go to different sessions. And then at the end of the night or the end of the weekend, you kind of all regroup, share your notes and your impressions. And then Christina mentioned potentially this stuff will be archived. You might be able to watch it later. But if you really want to like feel like you're not missing out, then yeah, divide and conquer. Even if you don't show up with a band or know anyone, like you'll meet people there and you'll probably have your own little small group of artists you've met and you could do the same thing.
And through our app that we'll be using, the Hopin app, you can meet people. You can even network right from there. So even if you buy a ticket for in person, you can still access our virtual app and you'll be able to create networking opportunities on there too. So yeah.
Yeah. So even if you need to take a break and go to your room and just decompress for a bit, you can still stream the conference while you're in your room. All right, let's move through these next few categories rather quickly because we got a scam email, we've got some calls and emails to get to. We have performance opportunities still. So get your ticket. You will get info about performance opportunities. We're planning more showcases just throughout the day. We've got amazing production on stage this year on 2 of the rooms. In the past, it's kind of just been hotel production. We've got real rock show production happening this year, and you're going to want to be on that stage. So there's lots of opportunities just to get up and play a couple songs during lunch breaks, during after hours, all sorts of things. So you're going to want to take advantage of that. We're looking for that live band, makeover band, and we just had another evening showcase get added by a very large video website that you all have heard of, who we haven't officially announced yet. Can we say who it is, Christina?
It rhymes with shmoo shmoob.
What?
You shmoob?
You shmoob.
All right.
Yeah, no, there's so many performance opportunities. A lot of people have already signed up for showcases and the open mic, but the open mic on Friday is still a lottery style open mic. You can still sign up on Friday at 6:25 p.m. right out front of the main ballroom. You'll be able to sign up and then we'll pull your name out of a hat, literally. And
if we haven't reiterated it enough, this is an open mic on the main stage with all the huge rock production, right?
The main stage. Yeah. It's in the hotel. It's with the entire hopefully all of you will come to this. If you're coming to the conference, please come to the open mic. It's going to be legit. And it's also going to be live streamed to everybody virtually. So you're going to have the opportunity to see it if you are live streaming from home. And then on top of that, we're going to have a unannounced Yushmoob official showcase on Saturday, which will also include an open mic. So there's an opportunity there for you to perform if you didn't get to on Friday. And then there is also a showcase associated with that. There's so many opportunities. There's also our jam room, which is like one of our most beloved features of the conference. At any point in the conference, if you just want to go make some tunes with other people, you can head over to the jam room. We'll have instruments there for you to play, or you can bring your own and you can just jam out. So if you love to jam, it's your jam.
That's been everything from like 2 people just, making a song to like
30.
40 people singing
totally.
a Beatles song together.
Oh, that's always really fun when that happens. It's a really special experience. And then again, like Kevin said, there's the live band makeover is an opportunity, and then just the songwriter sync. Like there's so many opportunities for you to get your music out in front of other people, or to just get those. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I am so rusty. I haven't been on a stage in 2 years. I want to sing a song. I'm probably going to sign up for the open mic too. I just want to get on stage and sing a freaking song. So that's your opportunity. Make sure you do it.
So practice your load in and your setup. Try to do it quick, because if you put your name in the hat and you get picked, like you want to be on time and off stage in time.
Well,
Prepare
we're
your
actually going
best
to make it
moment.
really easy for you because we'll have backline. So
Right.
you don't even need to bring your gear. We have backline, we have guitars, we have keyboards, we have bass, we have drums, we have it all so that you literally, your name gets called, you jump on stage, you use our gear, and you're good. So
there it is.
Yep, there it is. I'll hit the mentors real quick. We have one-on-one mentoring that's available. It might be sold out by the time you hear this. So check the website. That's where you get to meet one-on-one, a pre-scheduled time with an industry professional where you have their ear for that amount of time and to talk about whatever you want and get their advice. Check that out on the website because those spots go fast and I know that they're filling up. But beyond that, I think when you approach this thing, yes, there are those pre-scheduled times, but networking and collaboration, it's like showing up with a plan, knowing that, hey, these people are speaking. I'd like to connect with them and ask them these questions. They will be hanging around. That's one of the things I like about our conference is that speakers don't roll in, speak, and then get out of there. They're usually there for at least a day, 2 days. Most of them stay the whole weekend and learn themselves. So just think about who you want to network with, the type of connections that would be helpful, the kind of artists that might have some feedback for you, or industry professionals that might have some feedback for you, or some opportunities to collaborate. Just understanding that the weekend goes fast and showing up with those intentional ideas in mind will really help you make the most of it. Also, if you're coming to Austin, it's called the live music capital of the world. I don't know who credits these things these days, but there are so many venues there. And why not look for a gig while you're in town? There's hundreds of venues in the Austin area. And so right out the front doors of the hotel, 2 blocks away, there's probably about 30, if not more. And check it out. See if you can get a gig. There's lots to do in Austin. There's Austin City Limits. There's just great music to check out from Austin and all sorts of good stuff.
The largest colony of bats in North America that at sundown comes out and fills the sky.
Yeah, you know what? I've been
to
Austin like 12 times and I still have yet to see the bats.
Oh, I've seen the bats. Yeah.
I forget to
times.
go. It's just they do it at sunset and it's just kind of an inconvenient time.
They do it at sunset? You mean like the bats schedule their time? They're like, you know what? This is a convenient time for us, though.
This
Yeah,
isn't
it
working
is.
for me.
Yeah, I really need to get the bats to do it at like 3 in the afternoon or later
Well,
at night, but right at sunset.
I'll
It's
look
just
into that for you, Kevin.
yeah.
You gotta pay the bats union scale if you want them to
That's
do it on
right. That's
your
right.
timeline.
Yeah. Anything else we need to hit on before we move on to our scam email and our listener calls and all that?
How about I heard you talking earlier about musicians tending to be like, they have big dreams, but then they just expect someone else to make them happen. Didn't you? You had a thought on that, didn't you?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. I saw someone on Instagram kind of it was their hot take, but it was one of those hot takes that we've had here a lot. So the hot take would be that artists sit around and complain a lot about, hey, nothing's happening for me, or why isn't my music career moving forward? But when they really look at what they're doing and do a self-assessment, it's like, how much of your day are you actually being intentional with your music, with your time, your effort, your resources? And so many times it's like, well, I practiced once this week. I did this thing once. And you're spending all your time scrolling on Instagram or TikTok instead of making music, instead of being intentional with your career. This is a weekend. The DIY Musician Conference is a weekend where you can come to and with other like-minded people that are all in it for their music career and be extremely intentional and get excited, get the tools you need, the inspiration to really make a go of it and set aside all that stuff that you're allowing to get in the way of making it happen. And so would you rather 2 years from now have a successful music career, or would you rather have spent all that time scrolling on the internet? I know what you're going to answer, but what are you going to do? That's the real thing.
Facts. Also, making it happen on your terms. That's always our thing here at CD Baby. We want you to succeed on your terms. So you get to come in here with your goals, what it is that you want out of your music career, and try and find the path forward.
Yeah.
And here's my most important and quick question for people who are just listening. I have my DIY Musician Conference 2019 hat on, which was the last time I did this. I've been wearing this hat for 3 years. Will there be new hats?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, there'll be new hats. Perfect. I need a
Right.
new t-shirt. My
shirts.
my last couple t-shirts are starting to fall apart a little bit because I've worn them so much.
Awesome. New swag.
New swag.
Is it swag or swag?
I don't know.
Swag.
I think it's swag, but I just put an extra.
I think it's like it's swag if it's something you're getting for, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, according to Michael Scott on The Office, it stands for stuff we all get.
Stuff we all get.
Swag. Okay.
Anyway, yes. So head on over to DIYmusiciancon.com. Get your tickets. They're $149 through July 15th. So after that date, they're going to go up. So save $30. Get your ticket now, or stay at the hotel 2 nights or more and get your ticket for free. All that information is on the website. And we'll be releasing more details about everything we've talked about, the keynotes, all the sessions, everything that'll be going live in the next couple weeks as we get it posted online. So you can dive in and start planning your weekend. So DIYmusiciancon.com. If you'd like to weigh in on a topic or you want to ask us a question, feel free to do so at 360-524-2209, or you can email us at podcast@cdbabypodcast.com. And don't forget to get your conference tickets, the DIY Musician Conference happening August 26th through 28th in Austin, Texas. It's going to be an amazing event. Head to DIYmusiciancon.com. Lock that $149 price point in because it's going to go up. You'll save $30 buying now. Or if you get 2 nights or more at the Hilton, we'll give you that ticket for free. And all the details are on the website. And I'll be there. Chris will be there. Christina will be there. And we're going to close it out with a big pool party on Sunday. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. See you there.
Yeah. We'll see you there. And I think that's going to bring us to the end of this episode.
All right. See you next time.
We'll see you.